The communication signal traveled through space at impossible speeds. It bounced from one relay station to another, crossing star systems in seconds. The old human's words echoed across the entire Galactic Empire network. Every ship, every station, every command center received the same message. You want war? We will give you war. In the Grand Council chamber of the Imperial Palace, the alien leaders gathered around a massive holographic display. The recording played again. They watched the old human in his cell, beaten and bruised, but standing tall. His voice was calm, almost gentle. That made it more disturbing. Commander Zekthor, a towering reptilian with blue scales, laughed first. His multiple throats produced a sound like grinding metal. Did that primitive just threaten us? The entire empire? Others joined in the laughter. The council chamber filled with the sounds of various alien species expressing their amusement. Some clicked their mandibles. Others vibrated their throat sacs. The air shimmered with their collective mockery. High Magistrate Velnara raised one of her 6 arms for silence. The spider-like alien studied the hologram with her cluster of eyes. Perhaps we should investigate this species more carefully, she suggested. Investigate? Zekthor's scales flushed a darker blue. What is there to investigate? They have 47 planets. We control 4,000 systems. Their largest ship holds maybe 500 beings. Our battle cruisers carry 50,000 warriors. This is not a threat. It is comedy. Admiral Kreshvan stepped forward. The insectoid officer had fought in 30 campaigns. His exoskeleton bore the scars of countless battles. I agree with the magistrate. I have reviewed their broadcasts. These humans have been quiet for too long, too peaceful. Something feels wrong. You fear mammals? Another council member sneered. Soft creatures that require constant temperature control? Kreshvan's antennae twitched. I fear species that survive and spread across hostile worlds. These humans live on planets that would kill most of us. Ice worlds. Desert worlds. Worlds with violent weather. They adapt instead of changing the environment. Zekthor waved dismissively. Survival is not warfare. Send a message to their leaders. Tell them their old fool spoke out of turn. Tell them to apologize or we will turn their homeworld into glass. The message was sent. No reply came. Meanwhile, across human space, a different kind of meeting was taking place. Presidents, prime ministers, and chancellors appeared on secured channels. Military leaders in various uniforms filled the screens. The emergency session had been called within minutes of the old human's declaration. Admiral Chen, the Secretary General, spoke first. That man in the cell. Can you confirm his identity? Admiral Chen, an elderly woman with steel-gray hair, nodded slowly. Yes, that is Admiral Marcus Reynolds. Retired 15 years ago. Before my time, but every officer knows his name. He won the Proxima campaign. He negotiated the Tau Ceti Accord. He wrote the manual on deep space warfare that we still use today. Someone whistled. That old man is the Marcus Reynolds? Was, sir. He retired to civilian life. Started teaching history at the academy. Took a passenger ship to visit his daughter on a colony world. Chen's jaw tightened. The Empire grabbed his ship 3 weeks ago. Called it a border violation. And now they've made him angry, someone muttered. The Secretary General looked at the assembled leaders. The Empire sent us an ultimatum. Apologize and submit or they attack. How do we respond? President Okonkwo of the African Union spoke up. The question is not if we respond. Marcus Reynolds does not speak for himself. He spoke for all of us. The Empire touched our people. They mocked our elder. They think we are weak. Chancellor Schmidt leaned forward. They have 10 times our population. 100 times our military. They have been conquering worlds for 1,000 years. Yes, Admiral Chen agreed. But they have never fought humans. General Zhao from the Asian Confederation pulled up a star map. I have been preparing for this possibility since we first made contact with the Empire. They are strong, but they are predictable. They fight the same way every time. Overwhelming force from the front. They do not understand deception. They do not value flexibility. They also do not know about Site Omega, added Admiral Chen quietly. The room went silent. Site Omega was the most classified program in human space. For 70 years, humanity had been building weapons and ships in secret. Hidden shipyards, concealed research stations, all tucked away in places that looked empty on scanners. The Empire thought humans had peace for 3 generations. They were correct. But humans remembered war. They remembered it very well. They had simply chosen to prepare quietly, hoping they would never need to use what they built. How long to full mobilization? The Secretary General asked. The signal has already been sent, Chen replied. Site Omega is waking up. Shipyards are activating. Reserve crews are being contacted. We can have the first battle groups ready in 72 hours. And our civilian population? We start evacuating border colonies immediately. Priority 1, children and elders. Priority 2, everyone else. We tell them the truth. The Empire wants war. We will give them war, but we will save who we can first. President Okonkwo stood. I propose we send one message to the Empire. One chance for peace. Return Marcus Reynolds and all prisoners. Withdraw from our border. Leave us alone. If they refuse, we show them what humanity can do when pushed. The vote was unanimous. The diplomatic message reached the Imperial Council 6 hours later. They read it in stunned silence. They dare? Zekthor's scales turned almost black with rage. They dare make demands of U.S.? Magistrate Velnara read the message again. It says we have 48 hours to comply. Then they will consider us hostile and act accordingly. Act accordingly? Zekthor crushed the datapad in his clawed hand. I will show them action. Admiral Kreshevan, prepare the 5th Fleet. We will teach these mammals their place. Kreshevan hesitated. Commander, perhaps we should wait. Scout their territory first. We do not know. I know all I need to know, Zekthor roared. They are 47 worlds. We are an empire of thousands. Launch the fleet. Occupy their border worlds. Bring their leaders to me in chains. As the council dispersed to prepare for war, Admiral Kreshevan returned to his flagship. He ordered his sensor operators to monitor human space carefully. What he saw made his antennae go rigid with concern. Sir, his chief sensor operator reported, we are detecting unusual readings throughout human territory. Power signatures spiking in what we thought were empty systems, mass movements of civilian ships, energy patterns that do not match anything in our database. Show me. The tactical display lit up. Dozens of new contacts were appearing throughout human space. Ships emerging from what looked like asteroid fields, stations powering up in remote corners of solar systems, energy readings that suggested weapons but not any weapons the Empire recognized. Kreshevan watched the display for a long moment. He thought about his 30 campaigns, all the species he had conquered. None of them had looked like this. None of them had been ready. These humans were ready. He opened a private channel to High Magistrate Velnara. Magistrate, I believe we have made a terrible mistake, but it was too late. Commander Zekthor had already given the order. The 5th Fleet was moving toward human space. 3,000 warships, 500,000 warriors. The pride of the Empire sailing toward an enemy they did not understand. In his cell, Marcus Reynolds sat quietly. He could not see the fleets moving or hear the council's meeting. But he knew. He knew his words had been heard. He knew his people would respond. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer. Not for victory, not for himself, but for all the young beings, human and alien alike, who would die because the Empire could not recognize when they should have walked away. The war had begun. The 48 hours passed in a blur of activity across human space. Every colony, every station, every ship received the same orders. This was not a drill. This was not a simulation. Humanity was going to war. On Earth, in a bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Chen stood before a massive wall of screens. Each one showed a different sector of human territory. She watched as generations of hidden preparation came to life. Site Omega reports full activation, an officer announced. All primary shipyards are online. Ghost Fleet is ready to deploy. Chen nodded. The Ghost Fleet. 70 years in the making. Ships built in the dark spaces between stars, registered to dummy corporations, hidden inside hollowed asteroids. The Empire's scouts had passed within light years of these shipyards and never suspected a thing. What is our count? She asked. 2,300 warships. Another 800 support vessels. 15,000 fighter craft. The officer paused. Admiral, that is more combat ships than the Empire thinks we have in total. Good. Let them keep thinking that. Chen pulled up the tactical display. The Empire's 5th Fleet showed as angry red icons moving toward the human border. What about the retrofits? Civilian conversions proceeding faster than expected. Cargo haulers are getting missile pods. Passenger liners are getting point defense. Mining ships are becoming mine layers. We will have another 1,000 combat-capable vessels by end of week. Chen smiled grimly. The Empire thought in terms of military versus civilian. Humans thought differently. Every ship could fight if needed. Every captain knew basic combat maneuvers. It was part of the training, left over from the colony wars a century ago. Status on border colonies? Evacuation 70% complete. The stubborn ones are staying behind. The officer looked uncomfortable. Some are volunteering to help with defense. Let them. Every person has the right to defend their home. Chen looked at the countdown clock. 20 minutes until the deadline expires. Send the message to all fleet commanders. Rules of engagement are as follows. The Empire gets one more chance. If they cross into our territory after the deadline, we fire first. Across human space, military commanders received their orders. Most of them had never seen combat.
Humanity had been at peace for 3 generations.
But they had trained. Oh, how they had trained. Simulations, war games, tactical exercises. Every officer had studied the old battles. Every crew had drilled until they could operate their ship with eyes closed. Captain Sarah Okafor stood on the bridge of the destroyer Relentless. She was 32 years old and had never fired a weapon in anger. Around her, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. They were scared, she could tell. But they were ready. Captain, her sensor officer called out. Imperial fleet entering extreme scanner range. 3,000 contacts. Estimate arrival at border in 15 minutes. Sarah took a deep breath. All hands to battle stations. Charge weapons. Deploy combat drones. Send a message to the fleet. Stay in formation. Wait for my signal. The Relentless was not alone. Around it floated 30 other human ships. A battle group that, according to Empire intelligence, should not exist. They had emerged from a dead system that the Empire had surveyed years ago and marked as empty. The Empire had been sloppy. They assumed their sensors could detect everything. They never considered that humans might build ships designed specifically to hide. 14 minutes. Sarah checked her tactical board. Her battle group was just one of 20 scattered across the border. 400 ships total, facing 3,000. The numbers looked bad. The Empire would think they had already won. Sarah knew better. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Imperial fleet. They demand we surrender immediately. Any mention of releasing Admiral Reynolds? No, ma'am. They are demanding we hand over our entire fleet, disarm all colonies, and submit to Imperial authority. Sarah's jaw tightened. Send a response. Tell them we gave them a chance for peace. They chose war. God help us all. 10 minutes. In the Imperial command ship Conqueror of Weak Races, Commander Zekthor lounged in his command throne. The human formation appeared on his screens. 40 ships, maybe 50. He had 3,000. Pathetic, he muttered. They dare to challenge us with this? Admiral Kreshvan stood nearby, his antennae twitching nervously. Commander, I urge caution. These ships, they do not match any configuration in our database. Unknown design. Unknown capabilities. All I see are targets. Zekthor leaned forward. How long until we can fire? 5 minutes at current range. But Commander, regulations require we accept their surrender if offered. They will not surrender. They are too proud. Too stupid. Zekthor's scales rippled with anticipation. Prepare to fire on my mark. Target their command ships first. Let the others watch their leaders die. 3 minutes. Sarah Okafor watched the countdown. Her hands were steady on her command chair. She had practiced this moment 1,000 times in simulation. But simulation did not include the weight in her stomach, the knowledge that real people would die, on both sides. All ships report ready, her tactical officer announced. Good. Sarah opened the fleet channel. All captains, this is Okafor. You know the plan. The Empire thinks we will fight like they do. Head on, ship to ship, gun to gun. We will not give them that fight. She paused, thinking of her grandfather who had fought in the last war. He had told her something once. The enemy always has a plan. Your job is to make sure their plan does not matter. Execute Pattern Omega on my mark. Make Admiral Reynolds proud. 1 minute. The Imperial fleet crossed the border. Sarah's finger hit the button. Mark. What happened next would later be called the Battle of First Contact. The Empire would study it for years, trying to understand how they lost so badly. The human ships did not charge forward. They did not exchange broadsides. They vanished. Stealth systems came online. Systems that the Empire did not know humans possessed. Systems that bent sensor beams around the ships made them invisible to scanners. turned them into ghosts. Zekthor stared at his tactical display in confusion. Where did they go?
Find them!
His sensor operators frantically adjusted their scanners. Sir, they are gone. We cannot track them. It is like they just disappeared. Ships do not just disappear. Expand the search pattern. They must be... The first missile struck the conqueror of weak races from behind, then another, then a dozen more. They came from directions that should have been empty space. The great battlecruiser's shields flared and held, but Zekthor was thrown from his throne. Return fire. All ships, defensive formation. But there was nothing to shoot at. The human ships were invisible. They fired from maximum range, their missiles guided by targeting systems that saw through the Empire's jamming. Each human ship carried fewer weapons than an Imperial cruiser. But accuracy beat volume. All across the battlefield, Imperial ships found themselves under attack from enemies they could not see. Their weapons fired blindly into empty space. Their missiles chased ghosts. Their mighty formation, designed to crush opponents with overwhelming firepower, became a liability. They were too close together. When they fired, they risked hitting each other. Captain Okafor watched her tactical display. The Relentless had already fired 30 missiles. Everyone had hit its target. Around her, the other human ships did the same. Fire and fade. Strike and vanish. Never stay still. Never give the enemy a target. Enemy cruiser Righteous Victory has lost shields, her tactical officer reported. Confirming kill. Enemy destroyer Savage Honor breaking formation. Enemy carrier. Wait, carrier is launching fighters. Sarah smiled coldly. Let them. Activate the drones. From the human ships, clouds of small combat drones deployed. Thousands of them. Each one was barely larger than a person, too small for Imperial sensors to track effectively. They swarmed toward the Imperial fighters like angry bees. The Empire's fighter pilots suddenly found themselves outnumbered 10-1. The drones were not sophisticated. They did not need to be. They just needed to overwhelm. Kreshvan watched his tactical display with growing horror. In 15 minutes, the Empire had lost 30 ships. They had destroyed exactly 0 human vessels, because they could not target what they could not see. Commander, he said urgently, we must retreat. This is not a battle. This is a slaughter. Zekthor's scales had turned pale. He stared at the display, watching another cruiser explode. No, we cannot retreat. The Empire does not retreat from mammals. The Empire will not have a 5th fleet if we stay. Kreshvan grabbed his commander's arm. Sir, we must preserve our forces. We must report what we learned. These humans fight like nothing we have encountered. Another explosion lit up the view screen. This time it was close. Too close. Finally, Zekthor's pride broke. All ships, retreat, get us out of here. The Imperial fleet turned and ran. 3,000 ships had crossed the border. 2,800 limped back across. 200 burning hulks drifted in the void, monuments to arrogance. Captain Sarah Okafor watched them go. She felt no joy, only relief that it was over. For now, cease fire. Do not pursue. Let them run. She opened a channel to all human ships. All captains report status. One by one, the reports came in. Minor damage. Some depleted missiles. A few injured crew. 0 ships lost. Sarah closed her eyes and exhaled slowly. They had won the first battle, but this was only the beginning. The news of the 5th Fleet's defeat spread through the Galactic Empire like fire through dry grass. At first, many refused to believe it. How could 200 warships be destroyed by an inferior species? It had to be a mistake, a communication error, a sensor glitch. Then the survivors returned home. Damaged ships limping into Imperial space, crew members with 1,000-yard stares. Commander Zekthor, his scales permanently pale, speaking in whispers about ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished like smoke. In the Imperial Palace, the High Council gathered for an emergency session. This time no one was laughing. High Magistrate Velnara studied the battle recordings. Her multiple eyes tracked every detail. They used stealth technology we did not know they possessed. They coordinated across vast distances without detectable communication. They fired weapons from ranges that should be impossible. How? Someone demanded. Our intelligence said they were primitive, peaceful, weak. Admiral Kreshvan stepped forward. His antennae drooped with exhaustion. Our intelligence was wrong. Or rather, we saw what we wanted to see. These humans have been preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful. For how long, we do not know. But they have been ready. Then we make them unready, growled General Thruckmar, a heavily armored centaur-like being. We send the first, second, and third fleets. 20,000 ships. We crush every human world. We show them the true power of the Empire. No, Velnara said firmly. That is exactly what they want us to do. The council chamber fell silent. What do you mean? Thruckmar demanded. Look at the battle pattern. Velnara projected the tactical data. The humans could have pursued our retreating fleet. They could have destroyed more ships. They chose not to. They wanted survivors. They wanted us to know what they can do. This was a demonstration. Kreshevan nodded slowly. She is right. This was a message. They are telling us that conventional warfare will not work. They will not fight the way we fight. Then how do we defeat them? Someone asked. No one had an answer. Meanwhile, in human space, the celebration was brief. Admiral Chen knew the Empire would respond. The only question was how. They have 3 options, she told her command staff. First, they negotiate. Second, they commit to total war. Third, they try something clever. Which do you think they will choose? General Zhao asked. They are an empire. Empires do not negotiate after losing. They will commit to total war, but first they will try something clever. Chen pulled up a star map. The Empire has been conquering worlds for 1,000 years. They know tactics we have only read about. We surprised them once. We will not surprise them twice. She was right. 3 days after the Battle of First Contact, Admiral Kreshevan was given command of a new operation. Not a fleet. Not an invasion. Something different. He stood in a war room with 50 of the Empire's best intelligence officers and special operations troops. On the screen was a list of human colonies, stations, and supply routes. The humans showed us they excel at direct combat. Kreshevan said, so we will not fight them directly. We will strangle them, cut their supply lines, raid their colonies, force them to spread their forces thin. 100 small cuts instead of one large battle. A special forces commander, a shadowy being made of living darkness, nodded approvingly. Finally, wisdom. We use the Empire's true strength. Not our numbers, but our experience. How many species have we conquered this way? 17, Kreshevan confirmed. It takes longer, but it works. The humans will have to defend everywhere. They cannot hide their logistics ships. They cannot hide their food shipments or fuel convoys. We hit them where they are weak. The operation began immediately. Small Imperial strike teams began appearing throughout human space. Not fleets. Not invasions. Just quick, brutal raids. A fuel depot destroyed here. A food convoy ambushed there. A remote colony hit before defenders could arrive. The Empire's commandos were very good at their job. They struck without warning and vanished before human forces could respond. They used the Empire's advanced technology for short-range tactical jumps, appearing inside a system's defenses. On the colony world of New Hope, Farmer Marcus Tully was working his fields when the sky turned red. Imperial raiders dropped from orbit. 40 troops in power armor. They burned the grain silos, destroyed the communication array, and left, 12 minutes from arrival to departure. By the time human military ships reached New Hope, the raiders were gone. It happened again. And again. 20 raids in the first week. 40 in the second. The Empire was not trying to conquer. They were trying to bleed humanity dry. In the command bunker, Admiral Chen studied the reports with growing concern. They are learning. We showed them they cannot beat us in open battle. So they changed tactics, and can we stop them? President Okonkwo asked via video link. Not everywhere. We do not have enough ships to guard every colony, every station, every convoy. We have to choose where to defend. Chen highlighted several systems on the map. I recommend we evacuate the most vulnerable colonies. Pull everyone back to more defensible positions. That means abandoning dozens of worlds, Chancellor Schmidt protested. Homes that families have built over generations. I know. But the alternative is watching those families die when we cannot protect them. The decision was made. The evacuation orders went out. Millions of humans packed their belongings and left their homes. They boarded transports heading to safer systems. Behind them, they left empty houses, silent farms, and memories. The Empire saw the evacuation and thought they were winning. The humans were retreating, running scared. Soon they would surrender. But in his cell, Admiral Marcus Reynolds heard about the evacuations and smiled. The Empire had just made another mistake. They thought humans were running from a fight. Actually, humans were removing civilians from a battlefield. In a secret facility hidden in the asteroid belt around Saturn, Dr. Elizabeth Mora worked around the clock. Her team of scientists had been given unlimited resources and a single directive: develop weapons the Empire cannot defend against. The problem, she explained to Admiral Chen via secure link, is that the Empire has shields, armor, and point defense for everything we know how to build. Missiles, they shoot them down. Energy weapons, their shields absorb it. Kinetic rounds, their armor is too thick. So what do we do? Chen asked. Mora smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. We stop trying to blast through their defenses. We go around them. She pulled up a schematic. This is a neural disruptor. It does not damage ships. It damages brains. Every species the Empire has, every biology, every neural system. This weapon sends a pulse that disrupts electrical signals in organic tissue. It causes pain, confusion, unconsciousness. Chen stared at the design. How effective is it? In tests, 100%. Every living thing within range collapses. The ship is fine. The crew cannot function. That is a terror weapon. Yes, Mora agreed calmly. We are fighting an empire that raids our farms and burns our food. They chose to make this dirty. We can fight dirty better than they can imagine. Chen thought for a long moment. Then she nodded. Begin production. We use it only on military targets. Only on ships that attack us first. We are not monsters. Understood. The neural disruptors went into production, but they would take time to deploy. Meanwhile, the Empire's raids continued. On the freighter Lucky Star, Captain James O'Brien was hauling medical supplies to a colony world when his sensors screamed a warning. Imperial raiders, 5 ships, fast attack craft designed for exactly this kind of ambush. This is Lucky Star, he broadcast on emergency frequencies. Under attack. Grid reference Tango 47. Require immediate assistance. The response came back quickly. Lucky Star, this is Destroyer Valiant. We are 12 minutes out. Can you survive 12 minutes? O'Brien looked at his tactical display. His freighter had some weapons thanks to the civilian retrofit program. But 5 against 1? We will try. The raiders came in fast. They fired warning shots across the Lucky Star's bow. A message followed. Surrender your cargo. Abandon ship. You have 2 minutes to comply. O'Brien smiled grimly. He had fought in the colony wars 40 years ago. He was old now, but he remembered how to fight. This is Lucky Star. My cargo is medical supplies for sick children. You want it? Come and take it. What followed was not a battle. It was a running fight. O'Brien pushed his freighter's engines to maximum. He jinked and dodged. He fired his small weapons whenever he could. He did not try to win. He just tried to survive 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. The raiders were getting frustrated. This was taking too long. They were supposed to grab the cargo and leave, not chase some crazy human around the system. 10 minutes. 11 minutes, Lucky Star. O'Brien's communication officer called out. Valiant just entered the system. They are coming in hot. The destroyer Valiant appeared like an avenging angel, newer, faster, armed with weapons the Empire was learning to fear. The raiders saw it coming and made a choice. They ran. Valiant did not chase them. It took position next to Lucky Star. Captain O'Brien, you okay? We are alive. Ship is damaged but functional. Thank you for the assist. Thank you for holding on. Get your cargo delivered. Those kids need their medicine. Stories like this spread throughout human space. Freighter captains holding out against raiders. Colony militias fighting off boarding parties. The hammer fell 3 weeks later. It came from 3 directions at once, a perfectly coordinated strike that the Empire had been planning since the first defeat. 20,000 ships. 3 entire fleets. The first, second, and third fleets of the Galactic Empire, each commanded by a veteran admiral who had conquered dozens of worlds. They jumped into human space simultaneously, targeting the 3 most important human colonies, New Earth, Proxima, and Tau Ceti. In the command bunker, alarms screamed as Admiral Chen watched the tactical displays light up with red icons. So many red icons, more than her displays could properly show. Confirmed, an officer reported, voice shaking. 20,000 Imperial ships. They are heading straight for our core colonies. Ida, 30 minutes. Chen felt ice in her stomach. This was what she had feared. The Empire committing everything to a knockout blow. Status of our fleets? We have 8,000 ships ready. Another 2,000 still in deployment. 10,000 against 20,000. The numbers were bad, But Chen had expected this, planned for it. Execute Protocol Fortress. All ships to defensive positions around the colonies. Activate orbital defense platforms. Evacuate who we can, but priority is defending the planets. Across human space, the call went out. Every available ship, every armed station, every defense satellite, they gathered around the 3 target worlds like mother birds protecting their nests. Captain Sarah Okafor brought the Relentless into position around New Earth. Around her, hundreds of other ships took their places. Cruisers, destroyers, frigates, and retrofitted civilian vessels. They formed layers of defense knowing they would be outnumbered 2-1. All ships, Admiral Chen's voice came over the command channel. You know what is coming? The Empire wants to end this war by breaking our spirit, by destroying our homes. They think we will surrender when we see their power. She paused. They are wrong. We hold the line, no matter the cost. These colonies behind us hold 3 billion humans, men, women, and children who are counting on us. We do not let them down. We do not retreat. We do not surrender. We fight. The Imperial fleets arrived. What followed would be called the Battle of 3 Colonies. It would be studied in military academies for centuries, not because of its elegance or cleverness, but because of its sheer brutal intensity. The Empire came in with the force of a tidal wave. Their strategy was simple. Use overwhelming firepower to smash through the human defenses. They did not try to be clever. They did not need tricks. They had the numbers. The battle began at New Earth, 6,000 Imperial ships against 3,000 human defenders. The Empire's admiral, a grizzled veteran named Corseth, had fought in 50 campaigns. He knew his business. All ships advance in battle wall formation. Concentrate fire on their heavy units. Once we break their front line, push through to orbital bombardment range. The Imperial fleet advanced like a wall of metal and fire. Their shields glowed. Their weapons charged. They looked unstoppable. The human fleet opened fire at maximum range. Missiles by the thousands. Energy beams. Kinetic rounds. Everything they had. The void between the fleets filled with weapons fire. The Empire's shields held. Their superior numbers meant they could rotate damaged ships to the rear while fresh ships moved forward. It was textbook fleet warfare, grinding, efficient, deadly. Human ships began to die. The destroyer Courageous took a direct hit and broke apart. The cruiser Indomitable lost shields and was pounded to scrap. The frigate Last Stand lived up to its name, fighting until it exploded. But for every human ship that died, they took Imperial ships with them. The humans fought with a desperation that the Empire had not expected. Ships that should have retreated kept fighting. Crews that should have abandoned ship stayed at their posts. Captain Okafor watched her tactical display as the Relentless shuddered from another hit. Shields down to 40%. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Weapon systems damaged but still functional. Ma'am, we should fall back, her first officer suggested. We cannot take much more. Sarah looked at the planet behind them. New Earth. 2 billion people down there. Her sister lived on New Earth, her nieces. We hold position. Transfer auxiliary power to forward shields. Keep firing. The battle raged for 6 hours. 6 hours of continuous combat. Ships exploding. Escape pods ejecting. Debris filling space. The humans gave ground slowly, making the Empire pay for every kilometer. Admiral Corseth watched his tactical display with growing frustration. Yes, they were winning. But it was taking too long. He had lost 800 ships. 800 against what should have been an easy target. All ships increase firing rate. I want that planet in bombardment range within the hour. At Proxima and Tau Ceti, similar battles unfolded. The Empire pushing forward with brutal force. The humans selling their lives dearly. The math was simple and terrible. The Empire could afford to lose 2 ships for every human ship. Maybe 3. The humans could not. By the 8th hour, the human defenses were breaking. At New Earth, Captain Okafor's ship was one of the last still fighting on the front line. The Relentless had no shields. Its hull was torn open in a dozen places. Half the crew was dead or wounded. Captain, her tactical officer said quietly, we have done all we can. We should retreat. Sarah knew he was right. They had fought until there was nothing left to fight with. She opened the channel to order retreat. Then something changed. Captain, new contacts entering the system. Lots of them. Sarah's heart jumped. Reinforcements? Identity? Reading. Human transponders. It is the reserve fleet. Admiral Chen brought the reserve fleet. The reserve fleet, 4,000 ships that had been held back for exactly this situation. They appeared behind the Imperial fleet, fresh and ready to fight. Admiral Corseth saw the new contacts and cursed. Impossible. Where did they come from? His sensor officer checked the readings. Sir, they must have been hiding in the system's outer asteroid belt. They were there the whole time waiting. It was a trap. The humans had let the Empire commit fully to the attack. Let them push deep into the system. Get them focused on the battle in front of them. Then hit them from behind. The reserve fleet opened fire. Not at the Imperial front line. At their support ships, their carriers, their command vessels, their fuel tankers. All the ships that kept a fleet functioning, and they used the new weapons. Dr. Mora's neural disruptors. The first Imperial ship hit by the neural pulse was a fleet carrier. One moment it was launching fighters. The next moment every being on board collapsed. The pilots, the crew, the commander, everyone. The ship did not explode. It just went dark and drifted. A ghost ship with a sleeping crew. It happened again. And again. Imperial ships going dark across the battlefield. Their shields still up. Their weapons still charged. But nobody awake to use them. Corseth felt the pulse wash over his flagship. It was like being hit by lightning and ice at the same time. His vision blurred. His legs gave out. Around him, his crew collapsed. He fought to stay conscious, training, discipline, sheer stubborn will. He grabbed the command console and pulled himself up. His antennae were bent. His carapace felt wrong. But he was awake. All ships, he gasped into the communicator. Retreat. Get out of range of that weapon. Retreat now. The Imperial fleet broke. Ships that could still function turned and ran. Ships that could not were left behind. The great invasion force, 20,000 strong, fled in disorder. The humans did not pursue far. They had won, but at terrible cost. 1,000 ships destroyed. Thousands of crew dead. Stations damaged. Colonies scarred by stray fire. Captain Sarah Okafor sat in her command chair on the ruined bridge of the Relentless. Around her, the survivors worked to keep life support running. Through the shattered viewport, she could see New Earth. Still there. Still safe. Still home. She had done her duty. They all had. In the command bunker, Admiral Chen watched the Imperial fleet retreat from all 3 colonies. The victory was complete, but she felt no joy. Just exhaustion. Casualty reports coming in. An officer said quietly, 3,000 crew confirmed dead. 5,000 wounded. 42 ships total loss. Another 100 will need extensive repairs. Chen closed her eyes. 3,000 dead. 3,000 families who would receive the news that their loved ones were not coming home. The price of victory was pain. And the Empire? She asked. Preliminary counts suggest they lost over 4,000 ships. Maybe 5,000. And the neural disruptors disabled another 2,000 before they retreated. Total casualties. Tens of thousands. Chen nodded slowly. The Empire had wanted to break humanity's spirit with overwhelming force. Instead, they had broken their own strength. 2 major defeats, thousands of ships lost, their aura of invincibility shattered. What do we do now? General Zhao asked. Now? Chen looked at the star map. Now we give them a chance to end this. We have proven we can defend. We have proven we can hurt them. Maybe finally they will be ready to talk peace. But in his cell, Marcus Reynolds heard about the battle and shook his head. He knew empires. They did not make peace after losing. They escalated. They got desperate. They did things that desperation drove them to do. The next phase would be worse. Because a wounded empire was more dangerous than a confident one, they would start thinking about weapons they had never used, tactics they had avoided, lines they had never crossed. The message reached Admiral Chen 48 hours after the Battle of 3 Colonies. It came through diplomatic channels marked urgent and encrypted. When she decoded it, her blood ran cold. The Empire has authorized the use of biological weapons, she read aloud to her command staff. They plan to deploy them within the week. Target, our agricultural colonies. Goal, starvation. The room fell silent. Biological weapons. The Empire had them, everyone knew. But they had never used them. Not in 1,000 years of conquest. There were rules. Even in war, there were rules, until now. Can we defend against it? President Okonkwo asked via video link. Dr. Mora appeared on another screen. Not in time. Biological weapons spread too fast. Once deployed, they would devastate our food supplies within months. Billions would starve. Then we stop them from deploying, General Zhao said. We find where they are preparing these weapons and destroy them. Chen pulled up intelligence reports. We have been tracking their weapon research facilities for years. There are 3 primary locations. Here, here, and here. She highlighted systems deep in Imperial space, but getting strike teams there would be nearly impossible. And even if we succeed, it might already be too late. Chancellor Schmidt leaned forward on his screen. Are we discussing striking the Empire's homeworlds? I am discussing survival, Chen replied. The Empire has crossed a line. If we do not respond, they will deploy these weapons. If they deploy them, we lose. Our people starve. Our colonies die. The Empire wins. But if we strike their homeworlds, Schmidt continued, we are no better than them. We become the monsters. Admiral Chen looked at the star map for a long moment. She thought about her daughter, her grandchildren, all the families across human space who were just trying to live their lives. No, we remain better than them. We will not use biological weapons. We will not target civilians. But we will make it clear that if they cross this line, there will be consequences they cannot imagine. She turned to her staff. Prepare Operation Endgame. We are going after their leadership. Operation Endgame was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, not an invasion, not occupation, a decapitation strike. Find the Empire's leaders, capture or eliminate them, force the Empire to negotiate by removing those who refuse to make peace. It was dangerous, almost impossible, but it was better than the alternative. In the Imperial capital, High Magistrate Velnara sat in her private chambers. She knew about the biological weapons. She had voted against them, lost the vote. Now she carried the burden of knowing what was coming. A shadow moved in the corner of her room. Velnara spun, all 6 arms reaching for weapons, but the shadow spoke first. Please do not alarm the guards. I am here to talk, not to harm. A human stepped out of the darkness. He was older, with gray hair and steady eyes. He wore a suit of armor so black it seemed to absorb light. One of humanity's special operations soldiers. He should not be here, could not be here. The palace had the best security in the Empire. How did you get past our defenses? Velnara asked. Does it matter? The human sat down uninvited. I am here because my government wants to send a message. We know about the biological weapons. We know you voted against them. We know you have tried to make peace. Velnara's multiple eyes narrowed. You have spies in the High Council. We have spies everywhere. The human leaned forward. Listen carefully. If the Empire deploys those weapons, we will respond. Not with our own biological weapons. With something worse. We will come for your leaders, not your soldiers, not your civilians. Your leaders, the ones who made this decision. You cannot reach them. The High Council is protected by... I am sitting in your private chambers, the human interrupted gently. In the most secure building in the Empire. Your guards did not see me enter. Your sensors did not detect me. Your automated defenses did not stop me. He stood. Tell your council. Tell them that if they start this, we will finish it. And they will not like how we finish it. He vanished back into the shadows. Velnara searched her room. He was gone. Truly gone. Like he had never been there. Except for a small data chip on her desk. She picked it up with shaking hands. On it was a file. Security footage. From inside the High Council chamber. From yesterday's secret meeting. The meeting where they voted to use biological weapons. The humans had been watching, listening, recording. All along. Velnara called an emergency council session. The council members gathered, grumbling about being disturbed. General Throckmar glared at her with open hostility. This better be important, Magistrate. Velnara played the recording. The council watched themselves voting to use biological weapons. They watched footage that should not exist, could not exist. The humans were in this room, she said quietly. They heard everything. They recorded everything. And tonight, one of them was in my private chambers. In the palace. Past all our security, the chamber erupted in shouting, demands for investigations, accusations of security failures, calls for heads to roll. Admiral Kreshevon stood and the room gradually quieted. Do you not understand what this means? The humans can reach us. Any of us. Anywhere. They are telling us that if we use the biological weapons, they will come for us personally. Let them try. Throckmar snarled. I have bodyguards, defenses, they cannot. They were in the magistrate's chambers, Kreshvan interrupted. If they wanted her dead, she would be dead. They are showing mercy by giving us this warning. Mercy? Throckmar's laugh was bitter. This is fear. They fear what we will do with the biological weapons. That is why they threaten us. Or, Velnara suggested, they are giving us one last chance to step back from the edge. We can still choose peace. Return their prisoners. Establish a border. End this war before it destroys both sides. The council argued for hours. The hawks wanting to continue. The doves urging peace. In the end, they reached a compromise. Send a message to the humans. Offer to talk. But keep preparing the biological weapons just in case. The message reached Admiral Chen the next day. The Empire wanted to negotiate. They proposed a prisoner exchange. Admiral Reynolds and all other captives in return for Imperial prisoners held by humanity. It is a trap, General Zhao warned. They will try something. Probably, Chen agreed. But we have to try, because the alternative is escalation, and escalation from here means the unthinkable. The prisoner exchange was set for a neutral system. 3 ships from each side. Minimal escort. Both sides would meet in open space, transfer prisoners, and leave. Marcus Reynolds was cleaned up for the exchange. They gave him a new uniform. Treated his wounds. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the face staring back. He had been captured 2 months ago. It felt like years. The Imperial ship brought him to the exchange point. Across the void, he could see the human ships. Home. He was going home. The exchange went smoothly. Shuttles crossed between the fleets. Prisoners transferred. Crews counted, verified, no tricks, no betrayals. Marcus Reynolds stepped onto the human shuttle. Around him, other prisoners wept with relief. He just sat quietly looking out the window at the Imperial ships. Sir? A young officer approached hesitantly. Are you all right? Marcus smiled. I am fine, Lieutenant. Just thinking. About what, sir? About whether they will choose peace or war. The lieutenant looked confused. But sir, you started this war. Your words. You want war, we will give you war. Marcus shook his head. No, they started it when they captured our ships. When they mocked us. When they thought we were weak. I just made sure they understood the consequences. He looked at the young officer. War is not about words. It is about choices. They chose to push us. We chose to push back. Now they have to choose again. The shuttle docked with the human cruiser. Marcus was greeted by Admiral Chen herself. She saluted him. He returned it. Welcome home, Admiral Reynolds. Thank you, Admiral Chen. He looked around the ship. How bad was it? Bad, but we held. We showed them we can fight. And what did it cost us? Chen's face grew somber. 4,000 dead, 12,000 wounded, hundreds of ships damaged or destroyed, colonies evacuated, families torn apart. Marcus nodded slowly. And them? Worse, much worse. They are negotiating because they have to, not because they want to. Then the negotiation will fail, Marcus said. Pride will not let them accept reasonable terms. Fear will drive them to desperate measures. This war is not over. He was right. The negotiations lasted 3 days. The Empire offered a ceasefire. Humanity demanded the Empire recognize their borders and promise no future aggression. The Empire refused. They wanted humanity to acknowledge imperial superiority, to pay tribute, to accept client state status. Humanity refused. The talks collapsed, but something had changed. Both sides had looked over the edge of the abyss. Both sides had seen what total war would look like. The Empire had not deployed the biological weapons. Humanity had not struck imperial homeworlds. Instead, an unofficial understanding emerged. The war would continue, but within limits. No biological weapons, no planet killers, no targeting of civilians. The Empire would try to conquer human space through conventional means. Humanity would defend with everything they had. It was not peace. But it was not annihilation either. Admiral Marcus Reynolds stood on the observation deck of the space station above Earth. Below him, his homeworld spun peacefully.